Hi, everybody, and welcome to the last session of Track C, Omnichannel Transformation. It is my pleasure to introduce Ashye Marcus and Danny Smith from Stripe.
Good afternoon, everyone. Quick show of hands before we jump in. How many of you have used ChatGPT or Perplexity to shop for something? Oh, okay. Probably more than half. And then how many have gone to a retailer's website and used an AI shopping tool?
Oh.
Less. Okay. Okay.
Not a lot.
Nice. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us today. I'm Ashye Marcus, the head of retail go-to-market at Stripe. I've spent my entire career in retail, covering it from various vantage points, and about a decade with leading global brands, the likes of Nike, Cole Haan, and Liz Claiborne Inc., before moving it over to the technology side, so most recently with Amazon. Now, Danny and I both are in a position where we help brands and retailers navigate the future of commerce. And right now, I think it's the most exciting period I've ever seen in my career. And it's really what we're seeing as AI is ushering in a new era of commerce, and it's so exciting. Before we go into what that means, Danny, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ashye. So my name is Danny Smith. I'm a solution architect at Stripe. And for those in the audience that may not be familiar with Stripe, we are a financial infrastructure platform. For the more geeky definition, we make the movement of money programmatic, so hand in glove with AI. We'll talk a lot more about that. But we power a lot of the world's leading brands, from Urban Outfitters to Zara, even like a lot of marketplaces like Lyft, Instacart, DoorDash, and even some of the major shopping platforms like Shopify and Amazon. But very key is we are very proud of our relationships with the leading AI companies in the world. So we power the payments for roughly 80% of what's called the Forbes AI 50. And that includes OpenAI, Perplexity, and even Anthropic.
Yeah, so the ChatGPTs of the world. And really, we like to say from fashion speak that gives us a front row to what's going on in agentic commerce. So that's what we're here to talk about today is agentic commerce. If Gen AI was a buzzword of last year, 24, we think agentic commerce is the buzzword of 2025. And a lot of our retail customers have asked us, help us understand this, help us unpack it, demystify it. So that's what we're going to do today. So before we get in, let's start with some just basic definitions. So Danny, can you explain what do we mean by agentic commerce?
Yeah, so we've all used Gen AI, generative AI, to do queries online, write term papers, answer questions. The way I like to define agentic is, and it's not necessarily agent, but agency. So you're actually giving a computing system or an AI engine agency. So you're giving it the ability to set goals, make decisions, take action. So it's actionable things from the standpoint of, in commerce, finding products and brands, tailoring your recommendations, making them personalized to you, and actually completing the transaction from that standpoint. So it's really starting to become, it's not exactly mainstream yet. We'll give you a lot of stats as far as where we're going in the future, but it's very quickly becoming part of mainstream culture. And just in the past 2 months, so for example, there have been major launches from Amazon Buy For Me to ChatGPT Shopping, which I think you've used. And even things like Perplexity Shopping. So Perplexity Shopping was kind of the leader in this channel. They launched late last year, and that commerce is actually powered by Stripe, and we'll talk a little bit more about that.
And I think that's probably the only way you shop now, right?
It's the only way I shop now, yeah. This is interesting. I bought a car and a TV using Perplexity Pro Shopping, so we'll talk to me later about that. It was a great experience.
So what does this mean? We're seeing a major shift in product discovery. And so at Stripe, we're very geeky. We like to do a lot of research. So our proprietary research shows right now that across all age cohorts, that 1 in 4 right now are using AI to research products. And then when we look at Gen Z, the most covetable audience for most brands and retailers in this room, it goes up to almost 50%. So the interesting thing is ChatGPT right now is the 5th most visited website globally. It's really remarkable, the scale. And what we're seeing is customers are just getting more and more comfortable with this. Just usage alone from, I think, February to current has gone up 2x. So they've gone, it's from 400 to 800 million users. So when we look at, what does the future look like? I don't have a crystal ball, none of us do, but at a technology where the LLMs are 2.5 years into the wild, we look at some credible sources. We try to come up with a few educated guesses on what's the marketplace impact. And so from what are we seeing in the marketplace, we're looking at about half or even more, 55%, depending upon the source, and this is World Economic Forum, so definitely a credible source, that is going to be influenced by AI. And so taking this down to a brand, putting my brand hat back on, is what does this mean? It means that you've got a new channel to figure out. There's new rules of engagement, new ways to optimize. And similar to a lot of the digital early adopters, whether it was the Amazons in the 90s and, the amount of money that Walmart poured into digital at 2000, and then looking at, just as a retailer standpoint on the specialty side, the brands and the businesses that invested in digital are now, we're able to capture a disproportionate amount of the pie. So what we're hearing from our customers at the Stripe side is deep curiosity around what are these agentic channels and how do I play? So our role, we believe, is help cut through the clutter, understand the lay of the land, and then guide our customers on how to best navigate this really exciting frontier. So Danny, can you help us with a common understanding? There's the way we internally talk about is 3 different models. Would you like to talk us through and unpack each of these?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 3 major ways that retailers can engage in agentic commerce. So there's 3 models of agentic commerce. Everyone who raised their hand for the part 1, first question, have you shopped using ChatGPT or Perplexity? You've actually engaged in something called business to agent, or B2A. And from a channel perspective, what you're doing as a business is you're trying to make your products accessible to these agents. So how can this product be found on ChatGPT shopping? How can it be found on Perplexity? So we're going to break it down and give you a little bit of background on exactly how that works. So again, it's all about being present in this brand new channel. So we talk about Omnichannel a lot. Agentic is a new channel. As a retailer, you have to meet your buyers in all the channels that they're participating in. So they're going to be participating in this channel. So you have to have things like product catalogs that are accessible through third parties like ChatGPT I mentioned. They need to be API accessible. We're going to have a nice checklist at the end that you should probably take a picture of that's going to walk you through some of the very important ways that you can engage with B2A. Let's say, for example, you're shopping for some type of a present. You talk to the GPT. It gives you a recommendation, something like anthropology. It's all about maximizing that traffic and getting that recommendation to you, from you, to the retailer. So we've seen a lot of uptick in traffic through agents. We've seen a lot of downtick in organic search traffic. The most important thing is, as a retailer, if your organic search traffic is going down, that may or may not be a problem if your sales are going up. Okay, if your sales are going up and your organic search traffic is going down, that means you have an effective content model that the AI search bots can find. Now, if you're seeing your search traffic go down and your sales are also going down, that means that you don't have an effective content model. So that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about, is basically not necessarily relying on SEO anymore, but there's a new term, you've probably heard it a few times today if you've gone to any AI talks, answer engine optimization. So we're going to talk about that a little bit in the checklist. But yeah, let's keep going. We're going to go into model number 2. So the second model, so those of you who raised your hand for part 2 of the opening question, which is, have I been, and I think there was only 3 or 4 of you, by the way, have I been to a branded website that had an AI shopping assistant? This is the second model of agentic commerce, and this is called agent to consumer, or A to C. So picture like a branded assistant, almost like a concierge, when you go to a branded website, it knows your size, it knows your history. It can basically make recommendations tailored to your shopping experience and your style. And instead of just talking about it, what we want to do is actually show you a quick representation. So I'm going to tee this up a bit. We've mocked up a outdoor retailer called Galty. This is a fictional brand, but picture it being like, outdoor gear you can use for hiking, camping, those types of things. And what we've done is we've created a product catalog inside Stripe, and we've used our internal LLM and trained it on that product catalog. So our internal LLM, and you can do this as well as a retailer, make your internal LLM an expert on your product catalog, so it can make those recommendations and go through that B2A experience that I mentioned, or A to C experience that I mentioned earlier.
And then while you queue this up, there's a couple of these out in the wild. So we know Walmart has one, Ask Sparky. Anyone that's using Amazon, so their Rufus, that's an example. And then we're starting to see them pop up on branded sites. And so this is something brands are now starting to tap into, and we're 100%. Seeing it really across the marketplace, is the deep desire to embed this in their own experience.
Wanted to show you a simple and easy way of doing it. And what you'll see here is, I'll go ahead and start the demo. You see the outdoor retailer brand website, and there's a chat bot in, this is the different video. So we'll have more time here. But basically, what it's doing is there's some canned, chat prompts that you can actually interact with this like any other LLM. So basically, it's natural language. You can basically ask it for things like backpack recommendations. As you can see here, I can either click on that, add recommendations to the cart, or I can say, hey, I like the army green one. I can even misspell army green, and it understands the context of adding that to the cart and completing the checkout. So it's a branded experience. Again, you're on the website, but you're interacting with the chatbot, and it's opening up the checkout session. And this is what we're real big on at Stripe, which is optimized checkout. So in this instance, we can pay with something called Stripe Link, which is our one-click checkout digital wallet. Think of it almost like a Shop Pay, Shopify Pay. And it has my credit card already on file. It's got my shipping address already on file. Everything's preloaded. So it makes the entire checkout experience last roughly about 5 seconds. This is a little bit of our back-end dashboard that's showing, just from a Stripe standpoint, the payment transaction that came in. So it was powered by Link. And we've got things like built-in fraud prevention. So we use AI to prevent fraud on the front end. There's actually bad faith, even bots out there. There's one of these things where even the Agentic channel has some bad faith actors. So you've got to use AI even on the back end for fraud prevention. So my second prompt was more experiential. So I was basically saying, hey, I'm going to Arizona. We're going to do some hiking. What do you recommend? And it pulled up a nice list of things relative to hydration, hiking boots, different types of gear. And you can see, based on the transaction amount, so this is upwards of $500, $600, it's now giving me personalized recommendations, such as buy now, pay later options, like Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm. So I can either complete it with Stripe Link or one of the wallets, or I can do a buy now, pay later. So I've got a lot of flexibility. The checkout experience is really the customer experience tied to the payment experience. So that's something that we really harp on, is the fact that if you do a lot of work getting your customer to the end goal here of getting them to check out, you want to make that as frictionless as possible. And so that's basically the demo. It's two aspects of it, right? One, you saw product recommendations, you saw dynamic product recommendations, you saw conversational. I was able to have a conversation saying, I like the army green one. There were different aspects to the checkout that were automated and dynamic in nature.
And really guiding principle is just trying to remove friction. So it was a personalized experience, but with the purchase at discovery. So I think that as we think of the evolution, tying purchase to discovery is going to be critical because you want to be able to monetize at inspiration. And looking at a fellow Nike alum over here, we had a merchandising principles winning at the moment of truth. And by always tying the payment and discovery, I think that's how you're unlocking business value. We talked a little bit about branded agents. I expect them to be more prevalent, even as I walked around the exhibit hall and seeing some technology players help on that. An interesting piece is, taking this from the consumer standpoint, and even this morning Walmart mentioned this of like your last interaction is forming the basis of your overall customer expectation. And so this weekend I'm doing my search on summer handbags. I tried branded sites, I tried LLMs. So on ChatGPT and Perplexity, the fascinating thing is that these models right now are really learning you and your behaviors over time. And so what we're seeing is the rising and the bar on the customer expectations is being raised by hyper-personalized results from the LLM. So
did it give you the quiet luxury? That's you, right? Okay.
It gave me a beautifully curated selection of bags that knew the price points I wanted and knew my aesthetic. And then, yes, it hit up that. I even asked, tell me everything that I've told you about my preferences, and it gave it back to me. And so it is learning your preferences over time. So then that mindset, the customer is taking it to the branded experience. So this is why we believe that the role of AI is also unlocking personalization at scale. And we're going to see that not just in the LLMs, but on the retailer sites. So we've unpacked a lot. Danny, can you take us through the third and kind of the most future-forward model of Agentic?
What's the third one? A to A. So imagine there is no checkout. Imagine agents talking to other agents. So you've got your quiet luxury AI assistant out there trying to find these awesome products. As a retailer, you have an agent that's actually a selling agent. So you have buyer agents and seller agents communicating. This may seem like it's a long ways away, but there's a lot of B2B money movement and use cases going on right now that are agent to agent. Picture things like a grocery AI using rules. Let's say the heat wave here in New York, right? Like, give me some extra ice cream. Maybe for
my daughter will love that. That is an experience. I will be the first beta tester for anyone that wants to launch a household agent shopper. Huge time saves. But how do I know that this agent is going to take my credit card and spend $5,000 on paper towels?
Paper towels. Well,
because
you have a paper towel budget. That's right. No, so here's the cool thing. That this is the way we've done it at Stripe. We've implemented this with Perplexity Pro, by the way. So this is what powers the back-end shopping experience there. We issue actually virtual debit cards. So when I mentioned agency earlier, agency is giving something power. So you have to give it a budget. Well, if it has your credit card and it hallucinates and adds, 500 gallons of ice cream, that's going to be a problem, right? But if I've given it a $10 ice cream budget, it doesn't matter, right? It can hallucinate all at once. So we issue a virtual debit card with a budgeted amount, an expiration date of that day or maybe +1, and tied to our individual transaction.
So it's all about safety and trust.
100%. And since it's programmatic and it's API and we're all on the back end cloud driven, we can provision an infinite number of these virtual debit cards. So this is what we call policy engine in the background that's eliminating that fear from a consumer standpoint. Like, yeah, I've given my credit card to this AI shopper, but I've also given it a budget, and I understand that this budget, there's some technology behind that with this virtual debit card that's enforcing that budget and that expiration.
That was the center point of a conversation last week with a major retailer, and it's something that at Stripe we're thinking deeply with our partners on, and we've covered a lot, and so I think it would be super helpful to maybe go through the checklist. We're going to go through each of the three of how to get ready, and
let's do the
I would
checklist.
Encourage everyone to snap a picture when we get to the full page.
All right, so natural place, where do we start? Start with your product catalog. Optimize it for search. You need to make sure that these agents can discover your products. Okay, what do the agents care about? First and foremost, brand is losing ground to product utility. Okay, so product utility means things like reviews, descriptions. Make your descriptions human readable. The days of SEO and keywords and things like that, Make your descriptions of a product conversational, the same way that you would describe your product to a person. Inventory, order management. The fact that this product is available now and I can go pick it up in a store today, the AI agents love that. They really surface things that are actionable. So if there's available inventory, and like I said earlier, reviews, and then pricing data. The number one thing, it's sad to say, but AI agents are like everything else. They're looking for the cheapest price. And so if you have an out-of-date price, or if you've got some coupon or percentage off, and you haven't listed that, and you're not keeping that dynamically updated, you're going to lose ground.
And then what about on the branded?
Yeah, so the second part of the checklist here is go ahead and experiment with your own agentic experiences. So build a lightweight agent, build a lightweight MCP server, Model Context Protocol. This is what agents use to talk to tools. Build a lightweight MCP server, and we can talk about this at the booth. You can come see us, but there are different ways that you can use AI to experiment. Actually, ask Gen AI. Don't be afraid to ask Perplexity or ChatGPT, hey, how can I make my products more accessible to you? It will tell you. So use Gen AI to solve Gen AI, right? And then
the last.
Third and most importantly is make sure you have an agent-friendly checkout. So we showed some of that with the demo, but make sure your checkout is API first, that it's dynamic, it's frictionless. Make sure you have a good digital wallet strategy. It's very important that you make your checkout frictionless, because the payment experience is the customer experience, is the checkout experience. All three of those things come together.
So a lot of it was a little bit techy, but I'm going to give a quick wrap up. I know we're almost at time. Major 3 ways, everyone take a picture of this, and then we at Stripe just rolled out an agent readiness guide, and you can always reach out to us. I'm jumping ahead at retail at Stripe, so super easy to remember. But the 3 main ways are, 1, ensure your products is showing up, so don't miss the AI party. This is an easy way around that easy thing you can do to structure your data to not be left out. And I encourage every brand to go and each of the LLMs and shop how you think or how you would want someone to search your product and see if you show up, because it's quite fascinating when you do this. 2, give customers a hyper-personalized experience with adding agents into your own properties. So this is something that, remember, the customer expectations are increasing, and it's going to manifest on your website as well. And then 3, optimize your checkout for humans and the bots that are coming. I know we're at time. We appreciate everyone's interest in agentic commerce. Hopefully we gave you a flavor of what is agentic commerce, some practical advice of how you can take it to your business. The Stripe booth is at 233, so please stop by. We'd love to talk to you. We geek out. Danny particularly geeks out over this. We can talk very high level. We can go very technical. But this is a really, really exciting time, and we're here to be your thought partner.
Thank you.